Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video and welcome back to the main account. And today we're playing Kayle and we're doing what we did a while ago. I haven't done it in ages actually, but we're doing a POV commentary. So you've got my perspective of playing the game live, but I'm recording the commentary after the fact. This is to me very good, or like it's an effective way of going about things, and I might start to do it more often. Because I think a lot of you probably realize making content or streaming and live streaming is quite distracting from when you're actually playing the game, especially when you get to like Diamond 2, Diamond 3 and above. It's quite difficult, and people aren't normally doing live full game commentaries while you're playing in this type of rating. So what this enables me to do is play the game and concentrate more than I normally can, and then also do mainly a better commentary as well. So I know to some people they want the live reaction and the shouting when things go great. Obviously, that won't go away, but just sometimes if I want to try hard a little bit on the main account, these are quite good to do. And if you guys don't mind that and you're like, hey, this is a good idea, please do throw a like on the video because that actually can help out. Today we're playing Kayle though, and we're against a Garen, I thought. And that is worth noting. I picked Kayle into Garen, but we will see what happens obviously this game. If you're wondering, you know, did I pick into Garen? Yes, I did. So Kayle is known as a Garen counter. Garen can bully a Kayle kind of in the early game, but there does become a point in the game that a Garen can do sod all to a Kayle. He just gets completely outscaled in the pure 1v1. Kayle has kiting, damage, speed, and Garen's a running champion that cannot catch up to a Kayle and then can't outdamage her. So it is kind of a counter pick. Enemy team going for an invade. I did think on Professor we saw that it said like Taric Invader. I will say, like, again, if you guys don't use Professor, check out the link down below. It is frightening how accurate it is. And, like, it does let you know if people do invade or not. And most of the time, if it says Invader, that person is going to invade. But yeah, we're playing Kayle. Actually, quite a good champion of mine. Well, it's the thing. When things go well, I know that might be an obvious thing to say, but the negative of Kayle, and what you're seeing here, yes, the enemy team are swapping. But the negative of Kayle is she is basically a minion in the early game, right? She has no actual strength in the early game, and she takes ages to scale. You know, sometimes I've titled videos, Scale with Kayle. She's amazing if she can get to mid to late game. 2 items minimum, I'd say, is when you can start being like Kayle herself. But you can't always get there. But here we go. So yes, the enemy team has done a lane swap to... I'm going to be completely honest. This is probably more to counter me than it is to Rumble. I think Akali could probably do okay against Rumble on average. But I think this is more... They know that Kayle beats a Garen, you know. Even in the early game, Kayle can do fine against the Garen, where Akali has a lot more aggression to her. She can jump on things. Her burst is insane. And as weird as it sounds, burst is actually a counter to Kayle. And people are like, Huzz, Kayle's got an immunity ultimate. What do you mean? If you get bursted before you actually press R, it's a counter. And Akali definitely has that damage. But I will say, what is annoying me now is people, how did Akali even get into this game, Huzz? Don't you permaban Akali? I do, when I don't have to ban Samira. And yes, I banned Samira this game, so that's unfortunate for me. But anyway, Shaco's in the area looking for that gank. If we can go for it, wait and kind of try not like show my cards. So I was being very patient with that, not giving it away. And we get a quick, nice little early flash there, which is good. That is a successful gank. Because what that does is makes Akali aware. Shaco's been top lane. He's had presence in the lane. You now don't have flash. Maybe you can't play crazy aggressive on the Kayle anymore because there could be Shaco again. So it's really handy. What I would say while I miss a cannon, if you're watching this and you are a jungler and you've got a Kayle in your game, it is maybe worth giving them a gank or 2 in the early game just to help the early lane phase. The easier lane phase you give a Kayle, the easier it's going to be for her to get to late game status, and then she can carry you. But yeah, so all we're looking to do is kind of stay out of danger as much as possible. Don't get killed to a gank or anything like that, and just farm. We're going to miss some farm. I'm not looking for trades on an Akali at this stage of the game. You know, even level 4 Akali will absolutely own me. Going to go for some damage. Kind of, again, doing a little play fighting with the Akali, making her interested in the fight, but not interested enough to like, oh, it's obvious Shaco's here. So once again, not making it obvious. I heal the Shaco, by the way, before the gank, just to give him that little extra movement speed, and that will be it again. Well, also worth mention, the Akali's name Honestly, like, part of me feels sorry for the player, but part of me doesn't. You might see their name is like the Netherblade. It's a Kassadin one-trick, near enough. I think a Kayle might be their second champion, but their main champion, by like a long way, is Kassadin. The champion that maybe this season, and maybe even last season, has been near permabanned. Like, that person must never get their main. But obviously, it's a reason that Kassadin is near enough permabanned, is because people don't want him in their games. And yes, by the way, I have seen that Kassadin is receiving a nerf soon. I'm not looking at what the nerf is. I'm waiting to see what my reaction is going to be in the next patch note video. So hopefully you guys watch that and be like, Huzz is going to react. Yes, I will. Anyway, going for a teleport play. The reason why I'm doing this, by the way, is because, again, top lane, it's a bit boring. I want to have an impact in the game. That was probably a dead Garen even without me, but I get myself an assist. I have presence in the game. A Kayle now doesn't have presence in the game. So it's just like a little nice thing that why not, you know? And that is something, by the way, that I've taken definitely from watching Korea solo queue. If you've been watching my Spectate Koreas, where we're watching Challenger Korean players, and I might record an episode or two of that after I record this, I have seen top laners literally teleport bot lane at level 2. That they don't care about, like, I'm losing some farm. They don't care. They want pressure in the game. They want snowballing in the game. And a lot of snowballing does come from kills. So Garen's dead. You know, if, I don't know who got the kill, but if Rumble got the kill, he can snowball. Or if Shaco got the kill, he can snowball. That's worth it more to a top laner in Korea than, oh, I'm going to get 2 more waves under tower. As crazy as it sounds. Anyway, Kayle hits level 6, by the way, and yeah, and I'm dead. Again, that champion, like, I know people say, you are level 5, she's level 6, she hit all of her spells, I guess, but there are very few champions that even at level 6, as an assassin, have the confidence just to straight up dive you under tower. That's what I would say. Anyway, Shaco with a really nice counter gank, actually, on the Rek'Sai on the enemy team. Again, I would have uploaded, potentially even earlier today, a video basically Rek'Sai the counter to stealth. And obviously, Shaco has stealth. Meanwhile, a Garen roam comes bot lane, but also a Rumble, which brings the fire, you know, and the enemy team is in trouble. So this is a fantastic counter gank. You know, Rek'Sai got countered in the gank. Garen coming down. Again, Garen not the most effective at doing like that type of play, because again, he's a running champion. It's quite easy to kind of kite away from him, especially, you know, we have a Caitlyn. She's obviously notoriously strong at the moment, who's also good at kiting people. But, yeah. Good play by the enemy team. And this, by the way, is what you want as a Kayle. I know it's obviously an obvious thing to say, but you need your team to win the early game when you're playing Kayle. I've maybe seen, I've played League of Legends for many years, and obviously with the Kayle rework that's been here for, what, a year or two, I can count on one hand how many times I've literally seen a Kayle win lane. And usually it's not from the pure 1v1, it basically never is. It's usually some early game mistake that a jungler makes, or there's a 2v2 and Kayle just so happens to get both of the kills. That's usually what happens. And then, you know, oh, Kayle got 2 kills early, she gets her item quicker, she's level 6. Oh god, we're in trouble. But it very, if not never, happens that it's just the pure 1v1 why a Kayle gets ahead. Anyway, we're now level 6, which does help. So, you know, technically you could say Kayle is now online as a champion, but until, you know, her damage doesn't really exist until, well, 2 items really. You need your Gunblade, that actually gives you a bit of burst. And Kayle, by the way, going for a all-in, that was an ultimate, by the way, I think at the beginning of that play. Again, with all of her abilities jumping and dashing around, honestly, it's sometimes a bit confusing what the hell the champion's actually doing. Anyway, though, Shaco's in the area lovely again. I'm going to throw a control ward in the bush. Going to look for the kill with Shaco. And if I'm honest, I was actually hoping he continued, because I did have ultimate, but the play does stop at that rate. Rek'Sai also in the area, so maybe lucky that we didn't go for the tower play, and that will be most likely the end of that. Rek'Sai's name, obviously, a Rek'Sai one trick, so you can probably guess what type of player they are. They go for a flash play. They're going to go for an ult. I ult, their ult, and I survive. I get the Rek'Sai a little bit low, and look what's happening on the minimap. Shaco's coming back top lane. Rumble is also on his way. Unfortunately for me, I didn't look at the minimap, and Garen tower dove me with flashing as well, by the way. So he flash ulted me, and I'm dead. Gonna be honest, wasn't really expecting to get tower dove flashed by a Garen. But this game, you can already see, very heavy roaming game from, well, the mid laners. So Rumble's been bot lane once or twice. So has Garen. Garen now comes top. Rumble was top lane as well. So it's a bit of a crazy game. And really, again, this reminisces me of like high rating solo queue from Korea. Everybody's all over the map. So the Garen will die. Nice hook by Nautilus there. But again, Garen, no flash. He used flash to kill me. He's out of position again, and he goes down. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. Am I disappointed? That at the moment I'm 0-2-2. Not really, but I'm saying in the chat there. I do these messages, by the way, just to say, just to kind of give what I'm thinking while I'm playing. It's going good. I'm not out of the complete realm in top lane. I'm doing okay. I've died once to the 1v1, unfortunately, once to a gank. But we're Kayle. You know, that's the point of the champion, is I have to scale like that. And everybody, by the way, the higher rating you go, everybody knows that. That's just the way of the champ. You also have to know is I didn't want this matchup. So I think my team, you'll see at the end of the game, something happens, you know, in the outro bit. But I didn't want to be against an Akali. I picked Kayle to go against Garen, and I'm now against an Akali that can be way more aggressive, that can burst me. It's not a good matchup. So that even, you know, sometimes mentally can throw you off a little bit. Like, oh god, I'm against this guy, not that guy. I've got armor in my runes. Maybe I needed magic resist, for example. It's just weird, but obviously the enemy team did that on purpose to try and make this happen. It's working so far okay for the Akali. It's not working for the Garen. He's, I think, 1-4 at the moment. Bot lane, though, do get ganked. I think both of them are going to go down in the end. Unfortunately, Ignite from Taric does finish off the Caitlyn. Rumble, though, looking for a roam. And you can see how defensive, by the way, I'm playing. I'm behind the minions. Not pushing up like crazy amount. But I'm like, right, let's push it fast here. We've got a decent amount of minion waves. It allows that to push, and then maybe me to go back if I wanted to. Rumble does get 1 kill, but also does die in the end. And Shaco does get himself the Rift Herald. Akali didn't notice that she was basing on a ward there. And one thing notice, if you're noticing, by the way, the camera zooms in and out on the game, really weirdly, I was noticing when I was playing this game, my camera, even without, like, I don't know, it just felt like it was zooming in all the time. And I don't really know why. I didn't think I was using the scroll wheel, but I must have been. So that was a bit weird. Because, yeah, sometimes I'm a bit zoomed in, and I scroll up, I'm like, oh, I was zoomed in. Very odd. But yeah, obviously Gunblade first item for both me and Akali. Gives burst, gives the slow. For Akali, you know, the slow is very valuable because she's an assassin that wants to stay on top of people to do more damage. Kayle, you know, you're using it to maintain kite pressure or keep, so you know, slow them to run away. So, you know, the item is there for the same job for both champions. Does have slightly different uses though. And you are, by the way, seeing me now just go for a little, you know, little poke every now and then. Because we've got our Q now maxed. So the damage is okay there for that. Getting ganked again by the Rek'Sai. He doesn't get the knock up though. And I will survive. Looking for a little bit of damage return, but nothing major. And yeah, we just have to survive. Arguably a bad gank by Rek'Sai because that leads Dragon completely wide open. And I would, you know, I've survived. I'm fine. And we're about to get Dragon. You also saw, by the way, Garen roamed bot lane again and did get an assist or a kill in bot lane. So his heavy roam playstyle is continuing. But we get Dragon. I'm going to go for a teleport play. Try to make an impact around the map. Can I get there in time? Nautilus does go down, unfortunately. Garen is under the tower. Having a little bit of a fight. Get 1 kill on the Garen myself. Now moving into the back foot. Get an assist on that. I ult the Rumble. I don't really know why. And I get the Kai'Sa. And that is a nice roam. So once again, going for those teleport plays. I know right now I can't 1v1 the Akali, but I can TP to help. Getting 2 kills there. That makes my KD now neutral. Or actually a positive KDA, a neutral KD. So again, for those that don't know the difference, KD is kills, deaths. So a positive KD is more kills than deaths. KDA is kills, deaths, assists. So you could be a support that doesn't get any kills. That's kind of part of your job. But you could be 0, 5, 15, but that is a positive KDA because your assists are like balancing out more than what your deaths are giving to the enemy team. So there is a slight difference. In a solo laner perspective, you want, I'd say, at least a neutral KD on every champion. Some are okay, like tanks don't need to be neutral or even positive KD. They're looking for KDA. But a carry champion, you're talking Akali, Riven, Shaco. The carry champions want positive KD, which is kills and deaths. So Kayle, you can tell by her body language in-game, she's looking aggressive on me here. She wants to get this kill desperately because she knows, oh, Kayle just went bot lane. She probably used ultimate in bot lane, which I did. So I'm now vulnerable to die in the 1v1, and she's instantly looking for it. There's not much I can do about it, you know, other than just try to stay away from her because her burst is way too high for me to deal with right now. She does hit level 11, but I believe in that little skirmish there, she did use her ultimate. Obviously, level 11, pretty big deal also for a Kayle. That is when you start getting your AoE wave clear. When you attack after a few seconds, it gives you AoE wave clear. That does bonus damage. And then obviously level 16 is when you have permanently the AoE wave clear. It used to be... meanwhile, you can see the damage is starting to show up, by the way, which is nice. It used to be level 16 gave true damage, but yes, that did indeed make her early game too strong. Once again, I'm getting ganked by the Rek'Sai, unfortunately, so I do go down. But what's happening mid lane? Again, swings and roundabouts, which in essence means something bad has happened in top lane. Well, something more positive has happened in mid. 2 of them die in mid lane, 1 of me die in top lane. And again, there is always that thing of, you're Kayle. It's okay to sometimes die in the early game. As long as you keep going, you keep scaling, keep doing well, it's okay. And, you know, we have had quite a lot of attention this game, weirdly, for a Kayle. 1 against an Akali, which is hard anyway. Rek'Sai's been top lane a bunch. Shaco obviously did help me a bit too. But Garen's been top lane as well. So it's not being like the typical, oh, you're playing Kayle, you just kind of play passive and you just kind of scale nice and easy to mid to late game. No, this has been a little bit of a crazy lane even for Kayle, and it's hard. You know, it's hard to stay alive all the time in this situation. Anyway, Shaco has found himself a Rek'Sai on the back foot though, but Rumble is in the area. Shaco uses ultimate with then the burst, and Rek'Sai goes down, and yes, that is indeed a legendary Shaco, which, I'll be honest, I've said this recently, I think in some commentaries, Shakos are really turning up at the moment, I think. Like, damn. Anytime I see a Shaco recently, and I'm not going to say everyone, but I'd say 75 to 80% of my recent Shakos have done really well. And when they don't do good, they go really bad, because that's kind of the nature of the champion. But, like, honestly, like, he's strong. If you know what you're doing on the champion, and you're skillful, and you just know him quite well, really good solo queue champion. We might have to do a spectate video actually on it. That might ring a bell. And, you know, maybe I'll record that after this. That might have just reminded me to do that. So maybe I'll find the best Korean Shaco player and we'll watch and see what they do on Shaco, because that sounds interesting to me. Anyway, staying in top lane, unsurprisingly. Just going for minion farm. That is a Kayle ultimate. She's going to go for burst, and I looked at the ult. Just not quick enough, literally. Just not quick enough to get the ultimate off. I will admit, I did play this game around midnight a few nights ago. So I wasn't, you know, the most up there, like, on it, maybe. But, like, still, I still don't expect that crazy burst, if I'm completely honest. And that's my fault, you know. I should expect a Kayle to do crazy damage because she does crazy damage. But anyway, as we've mentioned a few times, even though things are going things are going positive. So a Kayle kills me, well, 2 of the enemy team die, but that's fine. And you can see I'm typing in the chat there. Kind of wanted to be against Garen, not a Kayle. That is the point. You know, the enemy team did do this swap on purpose. They counterpicked to, like, give the burst lane, basically bullying over a Kayle. And, you know, maybe a really good Kayle, that's a Kayle main, that is, like, fantastic at Kayle, would do much better than me, which is probably true, because obviously I play Kayle, well, I play every champion casually, basically, because I don't really main stuff. But, you know, I still, it's hard, this game. You know, I don't think anybody would think that this is easy in order to kind of survive this type of game. But it's fine. Again, that's why, by the way, meanwhile, Nautilus finds a Garen, and Garen will definitely find a Nautilus, and he will get that kill. It's why I actually nowadays do prefer mid to late game champions, because if I was playing an early game champion, and I lost the early game, whether I get camped by the jungler, or whatever, it's an awful feeling. Let's say you're playing Pantheon top lane, for argument's sake, and you're against a Jax. Well, you know you get outscaled. Meanwhile, a play is happening. I'm teleporting in, seeing if I could do anything. Garen on the back foot doesn't get to the Kayle. I ult the Kayle instantly just to make sure she doesn't die. Enemy team now on the back foot having to dodge Caitlyn traps. Now looking for the turret. Kai'Sa goes for a heal. Rumble is flashing in. Gonna go for a kill or two. And double kill Q, baby. Nice little kill there. So far this game, I say, really happy with my teleport plays. I think I've done 3 teleport plays. One in mid, we got an assist on Garen. Went bot lane, got a double kill. Went bot lane, got a double kill. So the 4 kills that I've had this game were both from teleport plays. That's really good. Really happy about that. But yeah, the enemy team does get Rift Herald, but that's not too bad. Shaco, by the way, also had 3,000 gold on him during that fight. So arguably, he should have been a lot stronger in that fight than he actually was. But it's fine. But as I was saying, like if you're playing Pantheon, you're against a Jax. You know a Jax outscales you. You lose the early game somehow. A jungle gank and a weird invade that Jax got 2 kills. Well, then you're playing Pantheon. You know you fall off. You're supposed to lane bully a Jax, but he got an early advantage that now you cannot lane bully him. He's got an item advantage on you. It feels awful because you're like, well, this game's kind of done for me, I guess. But if you're playing Jax and the Pantheon gets ahead early, well, you're in your back in mind going, I outscale him. If we just hold out long enough, I outscale that guy. That's my point, is there's hope. There's more hope when you're playing a mid to late game champion, even if the game does go bad early. Anyway, the Rek'Sai has found a Nautilus, and Nautilus is returning the favor by going aggressive on that. Looking aggressive, I heal the Nautilus just to make sure they're alive. Unfortunately for me, the Caitlyn Q takes the kill. I would have liked that, but it's fine. Again, having involvement. Unfortunately, no ultimate for me to help the Caitlyn out. I am looking aggressive. I think I decide to go aggressive properly here. I flash, look for the Q, doesn't get it because she flashes also. And you can see in top lane, by the way, yes, Garen has decided just to split push. He's not had the best of game, obviously. So you could argue that, okay, they did the lane swap. Akali did well in top lane. But Garen's done really bad in mid. So he's now maybe like, I just need to do something. I'm going to split. I'm not going to be useful in team fights because I'm a running champion in a team fight. That normally doesn't go very well. But yeah, anyway, he is fighting the Rumble, taking a full flamethrower to the face, and now we're going to go aggressive and see what we can do. Garen going to nearly die, does flash away though, and with his movement speed, probably, he will just waddle away with, I think, Triforce. Does Triforce and Zeal both give movement speed? I can't remember, but obviously Garen is quite fast with that more modern day build. I'll be honest, I do still find it quite weird. A Garen buys Triforce and Phantom Dancer. It's just weird to me, but they do. Stop the Rift Herald after it gets the tower. Don't think we could have got that before. And now you're seeing, by the way, I am now wanting to group a little bit more for a couple reasons. Like, I might want to group if... by the way, this is my ping on Baron, by the way. I am pinging Baron. Why am I pinging Baron? Because I actually think this is a really good idea right now. We have a fed Shaco, tanky Nautilus to tank it to not lose too much health, a fed Caitlyn, and Akali's bot lane, and the enemy team is now on the back foot. So I'm pinging this Baron initially, and I was like, it was basically like a question ping, like, hey guys, what do you think of this Baron? And they agree with it, and here we are doing the Baron. So Rumble Ultimate just kind of creates a mess in the back line. He's fighting, just kind of distracting really the enemy team. Rek'Sai comes in, doesn't get the steal. Shaco gets it nicely. We kill the Rek'Sai. We get the Baron. Akali does kill the Rumble, but the Rumble did do a good job stopping the enemy team basically completely, and that will be a Baron. So I was actually really happy with that call. Normally I always say, oh, don't risk Barons if the enemy team are up. I don't know why. I just had a moment like, this is a Baron. Like, this is a free Baron right now, and that's why I pinged it. So it's good to make those calls, you know. Even if you're having kind of a poop game, if you feel like a call is good, feel free to make the call. Your team don't have to listen to it. That's why it was like, yeah, ping. Okay, we're doing it. Cool. So I was happy with that. But yeah. But also worth noting, try not to make calls if you feel tilted. Anyway, enemy team, you know, just in a bush looking for us. Akali was going aggressive on me. Shaco on low health. Think he's okay, though. I think I heal him any second just to help him out. There you go. But he does survive, which is nice. Unfortunately for us, which is really bad, our Caitlyn died in a 1v1 in bot lane. That is definitely something we can't do. Also, Shaco, on a tiny amount of health, for some reason decided to run in. He gets himself killed as well. And now we're kind of on the back foot here. But again, get a kill on Garen. Enemy team might go more aggressive. But I am Kayle. We're going to have our damage ramping up. We've got now our passive proc. So I am looking to go for these kills. I get 2 kills so far. Will go down in the end, and the enemy team obviously get their first dragon of the game. So I understand the Shaco might have wanted us to stay there to be like, oh, the dragon though, he was too low. And after we lost our Caitlyn at the beginning of the fight, she died really weirdly to a Garen in a 1v1. We should have probably just backed out of that, if I'm honest. But as I said down there, Kate can't die solo to a Garen. Pretty true, obviously. So I don't really know what happened, but she did unfortunately get caught out. But I got myself another 2 kills there. So we're now on a positive KD. So not just a positive KDA, like we spoke about earlier. We're now a positive KD. 6 kills, 5 deaths. Not bad at all, considering how this game has gone. And we're only going to get stronger with being Kayle. We will, by the way, if the game goes long enough, get to the stage that I would probably be able to beat an Akali in a 1v1. And obviously that would be very satisfying. But I'm going to go top lane. Obviously level 16 is really what I'm looking for. That is when Kayle, you know, is properly strong. And, you know, we now have our 2 items completed. As I said right at the beginning of the video, generally 2 items is when Kayle starts to being able to do things. 3 is when you're, like, actually going to do a lot of damage, when you have Rage Blade, especially, well, with the build that I do. And it's also worth noting, because we get the comment every now and then, I'm running Fleet Footwork this game. Why no PTA? You can run PTA if you feel pretty confident in your lane phase. I was either against, well, I thought I was against a Garen, and I know I outscale him anyway. I take the blue buff. I know I outscale him anyway. I don't need PTA in that instance. Wasn't expecting an Akali, obviously. But Fleet Footwork just gives you a better lane phase. It gives you more sustain. It gives you just more than, obviously, PTA does in the early lane phase for sustain. And that just helps. You know, again, Kayle's got a very weak early game, so that's why. Decided to group. Garen is splitting, and we are making the decision to put Rumble back. Maybe this is the wrong decision. Maybe I should be facing the Garen. But I just wanted to be involved. You know, when you're in top lane the whole game and you're kind of isolated in top lane, it gets a little bit boring. So I was like, screw it. I'm going mid. I want to have an impact. I'm going to help kill the tower and open up the base. Rumble should be able to deal with the Garen in a 1v1. We shouldn't have too much of an issue. And obviously, in tower killing, I will be much faster at killing towers than a Rumble. Anyway, Rumble having a bit of a fight with the Garen. Returning, by the way, over back. I noticed on the mini-map a fight was happening. I ultimate the Caitlyn in time, and we do get the kill on Akali. Now going on to the Rek'Sai. Taric stun does come through. Rek'Sai just surviving. Shaco, by the way, in this time goes back and helps to kill the Garen. So we just won a 3v4 near the enemy base. So yeah, that was good. Happy with my Kayle ultimate there, especially that I was looking at what was happening at the Rumble. I noticed on the minimap, oh god, the Akali's come in, and then I managed to get the ultimate in time. Killing the base, then going to go for the Rek'Sai kill. Rek'Sai going to go down to the Caitlyn, now looking for the Taric, and I'm like, roar, do damage, flash the Taric stun, roar, I'm Kayle, I'm angry. But honestly, that was a really good game of Kayle. Unfortunately for me, I do die at the end. But yeah, not bad at all. It was a really rough matchup. They obviously lane swapped to try and counter me, which kind of worked. But the Garen had a rough game instead. So was it worth them doing in the end? I don't know. But now we're going to go over to the damage done and all that good stuff and see the LP gain and all that. So I'm really happy with the game. That was Kayle. Feel free to like the video, by the way, if you did like this video. And you like this format. If you're new to the channel, you may have never seen this format before, but I do like doing them. But we gained 20 LP. We went 7, 6, 8, 165 farm. And you can see toxicity is definitely happening in the chat. And as you can see here, by the way, look at the bottom right, my team honor me. So I get 3 honors for the team. If you're wondering why, it was mainly tilt proof because my team probably knew. Jesus, they put an Akali versus the Kayle. That's rough. Rek'Sai even went top lane a bit. Garen went top lane a bit, but the Kayle just kept doing stuff. And you can see my damage is more than the really fed Shaco. We did pretty good. Like, we do more damage than any of the enemy team as well. More than the Akali, more than any of them. So that was actually a really solid game, and I was very happy with that. But if you guys enjoyed, you like this format, throw a like on it. Let me know, obviously, if you want this more. It's a good compromise because it allows me to try hard a little bit more, concentrate at least a little bit more in game. And also, I think the commentary is probably a better quality as well. But if you guys enjoyed, again, like, comment, subscribe. Check out, by the way, feel free to check out the sponsors that are linked down below, especially Professor, if you want to have a competitive advantage, like knowing when people are going to invade. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.